Airlines are pushing their credit cards more and more, whether you check bags and aren't happy with the price increases, or you like redeeming points and miles for first and business class. We're moving to a world where you might need to get one of these cards. Part of it is to maximize revenue, and the other benefit being to slow down point brokers, which benefits us for more availability. Big favorite before we dive into everything is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Starting with bag fees, it's been an interesting few days. JetBlue started this on March 30th. With fuel prices soaring, they're increasing their checked bag fees to account for oil prices. On the low end, you're going to see a jump of $4 from $35 to $39, and for peak periods like summer, it's going to jump $9 from $40 to $49. All of these are for first checked bag, and we'll look at the full landscape in a second. A few days later, on April 3rd, United followed suit. You're now paying $10 more for your first checked bag. 5 days later, on April 8th, Delta jumped into the ring and added $10 to their first checked bag as well. Today, Southwest also joined in. They also ended up adding $10 as well. The raw numbers themselves don't look that bad. $4 to $10 isn't that big of a deal if you're paying a few hundred for a ticket. Looking at the percentage though, it looks a lot worse, with JetBlue being at 11.4, but a lot of other ones being at 28.6. I feel like for anything, whether you're going to the grocery store or gas station, an almost 30% increase is pretty insane. Even though JetBlue is the least culpable here, I actually blame them the most. Call me crazy, but I don't think United, Delta, or Southwest has the balls to do this first. They're doing it because the door opened and it's now okay. Feel free to pause, but this is what it looks like for second and third checked bags, and for the most part it's either $9 or $10 increase for second checked bag, and third one is going to be $50 for United and Delta. A $50 jump is pretty insane, but those were always expensive, so they used to be $150. For the most part, you generally don't want to check more than 2 bags unless you're moving and you don't have a choice. Okay, back to checked bags. You can avoid this if you have either elite status or by getting a co-branded card. Also, I guess by just doing a carry-on, but depends on how you travel there. For most programs, status isn't really practical unless you travel for work or travel a ton personally. For example, if United Silver status, that's the entry level, and you would need either 15 flights and $5,000 spent on flights in a year, or $6,000 spent on flights in a year. With the $6,000, you still need 4 flights in a year. Pretty much the same idea of Delta, but you can maybe shortcut this with their cards, but in that case, you could also get the card for checked bags. For most people, the easiest option here is getting their cards. For all the airlines, the sweet spot is going to be their mid-level options. For example, of JetBlue, that's the JetBlue Plus card that comes in at a $99 annual fee. For that $99, you are getting free checked bags for yourself, and also up to 3 travel companions. The caveat being that you have to use the card to buy the tickets. Looking at the prices, that means 1 or 2 round-trip flights where you are checking in a bag would already pay for the card. If you do 10 flights and you have status, then this doesn't matter, but if you don't, if you do a few flights, then this is the sweet spot. Most of these cards also have credits or anniversary bonuses that lower the effective annual fee number. For example, 5K bonus points every account anniversary, and also a $100 statement credit for buying a JetBlue vacation package of 100 or more per calendar year. For the bonus points, if you value it at 1 cent per point, then that's 15 value, 99 minus 50 is a $49 effective annual fee. At 1.5 cents per point, that's 75 in value, so about $24 effective annual fee. I know people hate coupon books, but historically these cards were just $99 and where you got it for the checked bags, but you had no additional benefits. I'm more than happy to take coupons over nothing. If you are someone that finds credits annoying and you want a tool to track it, we do have a new free one called Cardonomics. It helps you track your credits and sends reminders when they're about to expire. If you have a lot of cards, and especially premium ones that have credits, it kind of ends up being your Pokédex, something you can refer to without remembering everything. Looking at the cards for the 4 airlines with baggage fee increases, they're all in the $99 to $150 range. Note that United and Delta are $0 annual fee for the first year. In terms of the checked bag perk, United is the worst, where it's just U plus 1, and JetBlue is kind of in the middle, and it's U plus 3. For Delta and Southwest, it's U plus 8, so pretty good there. In terms of the effective number, I'd argue Southwest is the worst because there's not too much going on there, and the other ones are kind of dependent on you. So for example, I find Delta pretty easy, and JetBlue also seems pretty easy. United probably has the most upside, but also could be seen as the most annoying. The benefit of the 3 non-Southwest ones is that you can actually break even from the credits and anniversary bonuses. One big consideration for airline cards is that the market share for your local airport probably matters more than you think. So for example, out of San Francisco, even if you don't like flying United, you pretty much need one of their cards for flights that you do end up taking. Historically, your best bet is chasing status with number 2 or 3, and then getting card number 1 for perks. That was my old strategy when I had Delta status. Other airports like LAX are more competitive, with the big 3 being around 15 to 18% each. In that case, it depends on where you fly and what routes look like. Main takeaway, if you fly and you check bags and you don't have elite status, then you probably want to pick up one of the mid-level cards that work for you. On a side note, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website AskSebby.com and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, but otherwise, it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. One thing that kind of annoys me though of all of this is the framing. Their argument is that a lot of this is to account for rising fuel prices. I think we all know that after the crisis, once it ends, they're probably not lowering the prices. We saw the same strategy a few years back with the shutdowns. Prices can go up, but they don't really come back down. I've been in the weeds, but a lot of these airlines are not well prepared for this. Back in the day, it was pretty common for airlines to buy derivatives as a hedge. So think of this as insurance, or if the fuel prices go up, then they have a contract that kicks in. United pretty much stopped buying this insurance. Same thing with Southwest, where they ended their hedging program back in 2025. For JetBlue, they ended up moving away from this in early 2026. But yeah, for most businesses that are heavily reliant on a resource, you'd want some options in place or swaps, that way you de-risk. For example, let's say you have a restaurant and you only cook pork bellies. In that case, you might want to buy pork belly futures. The idea being that if your inventory price goes up here, which is not a good thing, then your option kicks in and you're probably in the money and you make money there. You make less money from your business, but more from this option, so it evens out. Interestingly, Delta is probably the best positioned coming into this, and a big reason being that they own Monroe Energy. It's a wholly owned subsidiary that they bought back in 2012 for $180 million, and they use it to create their own jet fuel. Looking at the 1 month, Delta is up about 12%, which is pretty interesting given the timing. Even if we zoom out and add in SPY to that period, it seems like all the airlines are doing fine other than Southwest. One thing we've seen in the past is better award availability by having cards. It makes a ton of sense because you want to reward your members and give them more opportunities. We are seeing a big shift here where in the past it was beneficial, but now it's almost necessary. So for example, if United, you pretty much need their cards to unlock saver space. Plus point space is a pretty good proxy to find award space given how they're prioritized. So ideally, they want you to pay the full points price and then saver space if possible, otherwise they're letting plus points people get upgraded. Here we see United 152 and 820 and some pretty expensive cash prices. Switching to miles over the same 2 flights, business is normally $250K, but as a card member, it's $85K. Let's go into my test account where I'm not a card member. Here it's the full non-card member price of $250K, so you pretty much need their cards if you want to redeem their miles. Interestingly, this change is throwing off a lot of aggregators that doesn't see the space. For example, looking at the full year for LAX to Hong Kong, there's only 2 dates, August 18th and April 9th. The August one is through ANA, which routes through Tokyo Narita. The thing though is that we know that that's not all the space. The first example we did was July 4th where we saw the space, and same thing here July 3rd, we see the space. The 5th is busted with no saver space, but the 6th is fine. Same thing with the 7th and also the 8th, it's wide open. We are seeing the strategy of other airlines as well, like Emirates. Even before everything happened over there, you could find last minute Emirates first class availability pretty easily, and that wasn't the case before this change. The change or caveat being that you need to have their elite status, which you could get by getting their mid-level card. That's how we ended up booking Game Changer and being on the same flight. You might still want to hold off for a little bit given everything going on, but for Japan to Dubai, it's pretty wide open T14, so 14 days from the flight, and same thing with T7. Beyond T14, you're out of luck. Back in the day, it was impossible to find 2 seats in first, and now it's actually possible. Both T7 and T14 work for this. It does depend on route, but the Game Changer is on the 777. There's only 9 of these. The main routes are between Dubai and Brussels, Chicago, Geneva, Kuwait, Melbourne, and Tokyo. Chicago is generally the hardest route. Taking a look, it's wide open for T14. Tons of availability if you are less risk averse, and the Game Changer is on your bucket list. Also, a lot of people that work in Dubai are going back now, so knock on wood that it goes back to normal. Main idea though is that I wouldn't be surprised to see this trend expand to other airlines. And to be fair, I'd rather not have an extra card if I don't need to, but if it stops or slows down mileage brokers and makes it easier for us as points people that want to travel actually travel, then I think that's a win. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website AskSebby.com and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a luggage emoji in the comments down below and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on bag fees increasing, and do you think they'll lower it afterwards? Number 2, are you okay for redemptions being limited to status holders or people that have the card? Also number 3, what co-branded airline cards do you have? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.